Okay, we have a call to order for the Fayette County Board of Education October 21st meeting. We're going to start off with a moment of reflection. Thank you. I would now like to call the North Fayette Dolphins up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. Now just stay right up there so your parents can take some pictures. You got a whole row.
Got to do that.
Parents, just give the thumbs up when you're good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. The next order is approval of the agenda. Dr. Barrow, are there any changes?
The agenda itself is exactly the same. We did update a couple of the feeder pattern presentation fact sheets, but they will be passing those out a little bit later. But I think they're updated here on the agenda. I would recommend the board approve as submitted.
Okay, if we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? 5-0. Now it's our time for our favorite part of the evening, the recognitions, and we'll turn it over to Melinda Berry Dreisbach, and I think Leonard Pressburg will have the first proclamation.
Do we have any retired educators here tonight for the proclamation reading?
Yes.
All right, I see Carol.
Please join us.
Mr. Heyman?
All right, Mr. Hamons, Ms. Lunsford, and... Mrs. Hamons.
Okay.
All right. All right, I got the honor of reading our proclamation honoring Georgia retired educators. Yes, I will not start till you are ready.
This is the most important.
Well, yes, you know.
Mr. Pressburg, if you do, she may put you in a
I
corner.
know, right? I'll get detention. All right, we ready?
Well, no, wait a minute, it went away, I'm in your email now.
This could get fun.
Okay, all right. I'll be very careful.
All right. Whereas the governor of the state of Georgia has proclaimed the day of November 3rd, 2019 as Retired Educators Day in Georgia, and there are more than 130,000 retired educators in Georgia, 29,000 plus, whom are members of the Georgia Retired Educators Association. And the retired educators of Georgia donate thousands of hours of volunteer service and make invaluable contributions to the welfare of their respective communities across the state. And whereas it is appropriate that a day be designated for citizens to express their appreciation for the contributions that retired educators have made and continue to make for the betterment of human lives and for society. And whereas we, the members of the Fayette County Board of Education, do hereby proclaim the third day of November 2019 as Retired Educators Day and call upon the citizens of Fayette County to observe that day in an appropriate manner honoring retired educators. And I present this to the President and members of the Fayette County Retired Educators Association. Thank you so much.
I am going to turn the mic over to Mr. Sam Sweat so he can recognize our customer service recognitions.
All right, for outstanding customer service, the first winner is Miss Barbara Wilson from Sarah Hart Mentor. And just a few words about Miss Wilson. Miss Wilson began the school year at the beginning of the summer, and her focus is always on making our school at the best it can be. She's the head custodian. She has been extremely positive to our staff, our students, and our parents with whom she encounters every day. Congratulations. We appreciate you. Our second winner from elementary is from Crabapple Lane Elementary School. And from Crabapple Lane Elementary School, she is a behavior paraprofessional, Miss Anita Morrow, if you'd come forward. And this is what Crabapple Lane has to say about Anita. She focuses on student behavior and ensures proper support is in place for our students to be successful. She collects accurate data and shares it with parents in RTI meetings and with the data team, so members can make informed decisions. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Okay, and from Flat Rock, Casey Perez could not be here. She's the head custodian. She's in California with her father, so we will take that to her. Oh, Miss Bolton, whoa, I didn't know you were here. Come on. Okay, all right, but let me read, since Miss Bolton's here, let me read what they have to say about Miss Perez. Miss Perez is diligent with an eye for detail and ensures the pristine cleanliness of Flat Rock Middle School. She takes pride in providing and maintaining a clean environment so all the kids can learn and our staff can work in. So thank you so much, Jay. And for high school, Miss Margaret Gillum, if you'd come up, Miss Gillum. She's from the alternative program, Open Campus in Mainstay. And the alternative school says Miss Margaret truly cares about our students and our faculty. She goes out of her way to make sure our programs have everything we need to support our students and staff members. So they also say she has a heart of gold. And she's also, if you remember Mary Perry, she's her sister. So thank you so much, Ms. Gilman. Ms. Perry was a principal. Thank you so much. And last but not least is Sharmony Turnipseed, who just got married, and her married name now, Sharmony, what is that? Come Miss Brownlee. And this is what HR says about Sharmony. Sharmony is always so nice and helpful to the schools and also to anyone in HR. She goes above and beyond explaining things and is always there to lend a hand no matter what we ask of her. Sometimes I may ask her the same question that I asked a few months ago, and she never gets upset. This is coming from Ms. Roberson. And she always takes time to explain it again. She is kind, she is professional, she is top-notch. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. Pressburg.
All right, now we're going to move into our student recognition portion of the evening. So if I may have our Student Advisory Council members come forward, please. You're welcome. Hey, come on up. Don't be shy. Okay, every year, we have at least one student on the state school superintendent's student advisory council, but this year we have two students representing both the middle and high school levels. And at the middle school level, we have Katie Roush, and she's from Rising Star Middle. And for high school, we have Morgan Pettis, and she's from Whitewater High School. Throughout the school year, the students will meet with Superintendent Richard Woods to discuss the impact of state policies in the classroom. They will also participate in service projects to benefit schools and students. So congratulations to both of you. We appreciate you and the fact that you're representing Fayette County Schools. Congratulations. Okay, those are the only student recognitions we have this evening. Now we're going to move into our staff recognitions, and if I may have Miss Georgia Fresh come forward, please. Okay, for the 8th time since 1995, a Fayette County Public Schools social studies teacher is the recipient of a once-in-a-lifetime award that is given to only the most accomplished social studies educators in the state. Georgia Frisch, who teaches at J.C. Booth Middle School, has been awarded the Gwen Hutchinson Outstanding Educator Award from the Georgia Council of the Social Studies. Recipients must demonstrate significant service and foster the development of democratic values and citizenship in the classroom, school, and community. They are also judged on their professional involvement beyond the normal job requirements, their efforts toward the improvement of student learning in social studies, the use of multiple instructional sources, articles published in professional publications, and conference and workshop presentations. Ms. Frisch, she's in good company, joining former Georgia School Superintendent Kathy Cox, who was a teacher at McIntosh High School, as well as former Fayette County Social Studies Coordinator Kathy Geis and our current Social Studies Coordinator Becky Rickley. And just as a point of privilege, Georgia and I, we went to the University of Georgia together, and we are sorority sisters, and we were just talking earlier that we just had no idea at that time that the two of us who were on totally different career paths, her in education and me in journalism, would wind up in the same school system one day and would be standing up here doing this. So congratulations, Georgia. We appreciate all that you do. Okay, next up, if I may have Ms. Shay Cleghorn come forward. Okay, Ms. Cleghorn, she is the school nutrition manager at Spring Hill Elementary, and she is the 6th manager to receive the coveted Cheryl Calhoun Manager of the Year Award, which was established by the Fayette County School Nutrition Program to recognize outstanding achievements of school nutrition managers. Ms. Cleghorn has worked for the school system since September 2008, when she was hired as a nutrition program assistant at Inman Elementary. And because of her stellar performance at Inman, she earned her promotion to manager at Spring Hill Elementary in January of 2010. And here are some of the achievements that helped Ms. Cleghorn earn this year's award. Last year, Spring Hill Elementary had the highest participation for school lunch on the elementary level. The cafeteria offers all 3 nutrition programs, and that includes breakfast, lunch, and snack. And the cafeteria scored 100 on 2 Georgia Health Department inspections. In addition to all of this, Ms. Cleghorn is described as being a dedicated hard worker who has a commitment to excellence. And in addition to the certificate you have received tonight, the school nutrition program is presenting you with a special plaque to commemorate your achievement. Congratulations. Okay, next, if I may have Miss Coquita Wilder Sandy Golden and Ginger McCann come forward, please, from our school nutrition program. Okay, for the first time ever, the school system has won the highest state award for Georgia Farm to School usage. This year, our school nutrition program has earned the platinum level Golden Radish Award. And this is sponsored by the Georgia Department of Education along with several other state agencies and organizations. Fayette was one of 22 school systems across the state to be recognized at the platinum level and is among 90 state school systems that received a Golden Radish Award at either the platinum, gold, silver, or bronze level. These awards recognize school systems' efforts to offer locally grown produce in their cafeterias and to promote to staff and students the benefits of eating a diet filled with fresh fruits and vegetables. In addition to the Golden Radish Award, the school nutrition program also received the Outstanding Extension Farm to School Program Award from the University of Georgia Extension Office. Fayette was the only school system out of 90 to receive the award. And here tonight, on behalf of the school nutrition program, is Director Coquita Wilder and Ginger McCain. And we also have two master gardeners. One could not be here tonight, but we have to thank them for their contributions because they also helped us win this award. And here tonight is Sandy Golden. And Janet Lester could not be with us tonight, but she's another master gardener who played a significant role in helping us achieve this award. So congratulations to everybody. And that concludes our recognitions.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have comments from the public, and the Fayette County Board of Education welcomes comments from the public. Comments must be limited to 3 minutes. The goal is to allow as many people to speak as possible. Speakers are not allowed to relinquish their time to another speaker. Vulgar language or personal abuse against any person will not be allowed. Comments about individual employees or complaints about student problems are not appropriate for the comments from the public section. The chairman or presiding officer has the discretion to terminate the presentation of a speaker who violates these guidelines. So we have one person signed up, and it's Mr. Dolan. Danny, go ahead, step up.
Hello again, Danny Dolan, 110 Taylor Ridge Court in Tyrone, and Vice Chairman of the Libertarian Party of Fayette County. I had planned to come up here with remarks to show that I'm not just an outspoken naysayer, to share an idea that I had hoped would help with an issue I know you're facing, school crowding. But then this morning I looked at the agenda for tonight and I saw something else that grabbed my attention. In a few minutes, you're going to be hearing a presentation on a school crisis alert system, I understand. I looked at the PowerPoint. It includes statistics on school shootings and a quote from a particular school shooting in Parkland, Florida. I just wanted to put in your mind something you probably already know, that in many cases these statistics that are quoted for school shootings include cases that police reports that maybe really shouldn't, cases that occur off school property, out of school hours, cases of accident rather than malice, cases with no injury or threat to students, but they are included through some twists of logic in these statistics to show that the threat is on the rise. I just wanted to give you some reason to be critical-minded. I also wanted to point out that in Parkland in particular, the fault was not found to be with the school or its ability to carry out their emergency procedures. It was with the law enforcement's ability to use tools already at their disposal for information and communication, and their lack of quick response. I feel very safe in our schools. Just last Friday, I chaperoned a school field trip. I feel that my children are very safe in our schools. I hope that you will not jump to spend money to increase appearance of security if it is not really needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll save this for next time.
Okay, that's it for comments from the public. And I think up next, we have our Stars Mill High School feeder pattern presentation. And I love it when everyone's color coordinated.
They were going to leave me up here by myself, too. I did encourage them to come on up. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be before you this evening. As you know, the task of taking all of the successes and the areas of growth for an entire feeder pattern is a large one. So as we, the Stars Mill feeder pattern, discussed ideas of how to put this into a relatively short, and I do promise, relatively short presentation, we decided to focus the first part on the thing that brings all of us to work every day. That's our students and their ultimate goal of their graduation. So we took the work that the school system has done in the last year on the portrait of the graduate and had the students at the Rising Star Middle School Community for Creativity create a video of how the schools in the Stars Mill cluster are helping our students meet the system goals defined in the portrait of the graduate. So we'll start with the video.
Being able to collaborate with others has been identified by the World Economic Forum as one of the top 10 job skills needed for jobs in 2020 and beyond. Our teachers create collaborative learning activities that are complex, that prepare students to be part of a team, that build in many opportunities for discussion and consensus, and that provide opportunities for deeper learning outcomes that allow students to build their broad knowledge and transferable skills our students will need to continuously learn, adapt, and thrive in the 21st century workplace.
I make sure I hear everybody's opinion before we actually decide on what we're going to do, so that way everybody feels included and no one feels left out.
When I graduate, I want to work towards becoming an audio and sound designer. My experience here at Stars Mill has helped me build confidence socializing and doing team projects, which I'm always going to need these skills in future careers, so it's really helped.
With CFC in Careers, we're able to teach resiliency to the students, mainly by way of the multiple projects that they have. We challenge them to really go ahead and take a second look at a situation when they run into obstacles. So this really prepares them for resiliency throughout not only throughout their school careers, but throughout their lives, because what the students are able to understand, if we simply just take our time, reassess what we have, work together, continue to work hard. And the key word here is to get the students to understand that it's all about continuing, working through, striving through. Once they get all those elements together, then they're well on the way.
One of the most powerful lessons that I look for is the opportunity to highlight a time where a child has demonstrated resilience, and I point this out to that child. I usually ask them to talk through, how were you able to succeed this time? What did you do differently? What are some things that you said to yourself?
We prepare our students to be productive citizens by exposing them to different cultures and belief systems around the world. Current events provide real-world problems that students must develop ideas to solve. Whether students are solving the Middle East water crisis in social studies or building a prototype football helmet in science, we are preparing students to be contributing members of society.
When I graduate from Stars Mill, I'd like to attend college to study business, and the business pathway at Stars Mill really is going to prepare me for what I have to learn in college.
Hi, my name is Easton. When I want to grow up, I want to be a police officer.
I try to teach my children about creative problem solving by letting them know that there's more than one solution to a problem. You don't just have one answer to everything. And if I can have questions that are open-ended so that they can discover and explore the answers, try to find more than one solution to the problem, then I'm doing my job.
Well, I'd like to go into a performance a performance area in some way, and I am part of chorus. I do the drama department, and I'm definitely learning skills that will help me.
Something that I want to do when I'm graduated from Stars Mill is I want to go to college. I want to pursue a degree in film.
I feel like one of our main goals as elementary school teachers is to help kids fall in love with learning. The kids want more, and it's no longer you teaching them, but them chasing the information for themselves.
There are many ways I promote lifelong learning in the classroom. Recently, we have begun setting personal learning goals with students. Goal setting is one of those lifelong learning skills that strengthens the desire to learn. When students own their learning, it's theirs and it sticks with them. When kids don't see learning as a chore, they begin to see it as a joyful adventure.
I want to be a basketball player, a world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, an actor, and a stunt woman when I grow up.
I want to be an astronaut librarian, like one or the other, or maybe both. The reason I want to be an astronaut is because I love space, and a librarian is because I love reading.
I tell my kiddos often, always be a student. There's always something to learn somewhere for someone. They teach me things daily, and we are still becoming and staying lifelong learners together.
Being effective communicators is such a vital skill in today's world. We work on this every day by doing simple things like turn and talk with your neighbors, or even formative assessments. Sometimes students give feedback digitally or even face-to-face on their writing or reading responses. We are helping students become effective communicators so they can be the leaders that we need tomorrow.
Hello, my name is Riley. I'm in first grade. When I grow up, I want to be a pop star.
We start with the Leader in Me program, which really teaches the kids how to vocalize their needs and wants and actually encourages them to take responsibility for themselves and to then learn to effectively communicate what those desires are, what those responsibilities are. And then as we move to the middle school, of course we have writing and things like that, and we have arts, but we also have the Community for Creativity, which allows kids to communicate their creative ideas and put them out into the public for a variety of people to see. At the high school level, we have a variety of outlets for students as well. At Stars Mill, we have Musings, the creative writing magazine, the literary art magazine. We have the Pride Yearbook. We have the Prowler newspaper. And in addition to all of these things, we have our business classes in computer graphics and animation. And all of these different activities help our kids to be effective communicators.
We prepare our students to be ready for their future, or future ready, by emphasizing the importance of a solid work ethic every day. It's important for students to understand that as they progress through the grades, that they're preparing themselves for their future. And the grades are stepping stones for them to eventually graduate, to go to college, to go to vocational school, and then to lead them to a job in the real world.
Hi, I'm Maren. I'm in 4th grade, and when I grow up, I want to be a comedian. My name is Luke, and I'm in 1st grade, and when I grow up, I want to be a scuba diver.
Rising Star Middle School was excited to pilot the Community for Creativity initiative last year. This connects a portrait of a graduate through creating lifelong learners by creative problem solving. Students in the Community for Creativity program focus on developing new ideas and content that can solve a problem or fulfill a need in their community. Creating solutions for the community is something that resonates with students of all ages, elementary, middle, and high school. And we have students that are now finding and searching for their passions and then discovering how they can use those passions to better the world around them.
Thank you. So this summer, when we all got together for the first time as a feeder pattern during the Admin Institute, we initially began the conversation about how do we support Portrait of a Graduate, because that was pushed out to all of us through Sam and his team last year, and we really wanted to embrace it as a feeder pattern, which is what you just saw just a moment ago. We just really wanted to share with you all of our celebrations and how we are preparing our kids for all of those different elements that provide or feed into Portrait of a Graduate. So now we would just all like to take a chance to speak a few minutes about our school, and then at the end give you any and give you time to ask us any questions. I'm Erin Angelo. I am the new principal at Braylon and one of the new ones to this feeder pattern. But I'm already enjoying my time, and we have already begun to form some relationships, and by doing this brings us together to really focus on what we're doing as a collective group. So as I am learning Braylon Elementary and digging into data, if you wanted to look in your little cheat sheet, we gave you little snapshots in your folders, and those are on the screen. We did just want to give you a real quick snapshot of who we are as schools, even though our focus we wanted to be is on a feeder pattern. As you can see, Braylon Elementary last year had a school climate score of 95, which earned us 4 stars. The CCRPI data, and this is lagging data from 2018, was a 93.7. And with 540 students. Some of the things that we continue to be successful, and as I learn more and more about the awesome school that I get to lead now, is that we are continuing to grow and wanting to make improvements. There's a great test scores that we have produced in the past, but there's always room for growth. One of the things, the focus points, is writing. That has been something that has been carried over the last several years at Braylon prior to me coming, and that will continue to be a focus. We have had some celebrations in our scores improving, and so that will continue to be one of our highlights and areas of growth. We also would like, just based, if you look at the bottom bullet points, just based on some of that CCRPI data as we dug in, there is room to improve our literacy scores and the readiness. So that's really looking at those Lexile scores and how to move kids, even your brightest kids, how do you get them to continue to grow? So that is a constant conversation, when they come in at high levels, how do you continue to grow and blossom, because everyone has room. One of our big areas that we want to improve is that climate score, and would like to see 5 stars next to Braylon Elementary. And one of the things that we are adding to the school that's already a Lighthouse Leader in Me school is PBIS this year, and SEEK. So those are 2 big initiatives as a school, and those are probably the things we are focusing on the most, because it is hitting the whole child and really hitting that student achievement and that positive behavior. So I am confident that with those 2 things that you're going to see 5 stars on Braylon as we continue to move forward. So that's just a snapshot of Braylon, and I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Spicer.
I'm Felicia Spicer, principal of Oak Grove. And you have our data up there as well. And as Erin mentioned, it is lagging data, but this is the data we took to plan our plan for improvement this year. One of the areas that we decided we were really going to push toward was closing the gap. We have a large percentage of our students. We received a 96 on progress on the CCRPI, so we have a large percentage of our students who actually make progress. But because we have such a beautifully diverse population, and the big part of that is we're extremely transient, and a lot of people don't realize that. We have a lot of students that we have from pre-K all the way up to 5th grade. We get to watch their progress. We have some students who come in for just a very short period of time. Maybe dad's being trained at Panasonic for 18 months and then they go away, or maybe they come for 6 months, go away for a year, and then come back. So we have to really look closely at where our kids are when they come in and take them where they need to be. So that closing the gap was a big focus for us this past year. We've been very intentional about our RTI practices, and we feel we're very excited about where that committee has gone. It's a true PLC, And we actually won the Star Award. One elementary, one middle, and one high school from the state of Georgia wins that award, and we won that last year for our RTI practices, so we feel really good about that, and we celebrate a lot and share that with others. We are very proud of the collective teacher efficacy that we're building at Oak Grove, and one way that we're doing that is because we have such a strong, stable staff at our school. Our leadership team is actually focusing on becoming better leaders and knowing how to lead those PLCs at their grade level. We also, one of our big goals is to become operational with PBIS, and so that doesn't need to be a big goal anymore because we just found out that we did. We didn't know that we were going to be able to do it so quickly, so we are PBIS school. So I'll pass it over to Ms. Blodgett.
Hi, I'm Buffy Blodgett. I'm the principal at Peoples Elementary. And some of the successes that I want to share is that, which you can't see quite yet, is that from our growth as we created our school improvement plan last year, is we really focused on some areas that we needed to grow in as our CCRPI score had dropped tremendously the year before. As Ms. Angelo shared, when you're up here, it's really hard to make sure that you're challenging those kids to grow even further. So our area of focus was to look at every student and look at where they were and how could we make them grow. And when we did that, we had an emphasis on language arts and reading. So we're very pleased with our new scores, and we've made some progress in closing the gaps, which was another area that Dr. Spicer just shared, as well as some specific subgroups that we were focusing on. So we're very pleased. So hopefully you will be pleased too after those scores are released. But as far as our school improvement plan, our goal is still language arts. We are still focusing on the areas of writing and working on an emphasis of informational writing. We are working weekly through collaborative planning with our instructional coach that you all gave to us last year, and we are so grateful for her. And we are focusing on student engagement, clarity in lesson plans, clarity in lesson delivery, and informational writing strategies this year. We also are a Leader in Me school. So last year we were trained in PBIS. So this year we are embedding PBIS with Leader in Me to continue to have the 5-star climate and healthy culture and environment. And then the other thing that these ladies didn't say that we're all doing is we are working really hard to be more collaborative among all of us. This year we've met several times this year, more so than we ever have. So it could be because Aaron joined us, but no. We're trying to come up with ideas. It's easier for me to work with Rising Star and Stars Mill because we're on a campus and we have several things that we do where kids come over and mentor and field trips over there, but it's harder for them. So we've brainstormed some ideas of how we can do that across all three of us, as well as increasing the Creativity for Community program at Peoples. That's the goal. Okay.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Smith, and I'm the new principal at Rising Star Middle School, and I'm delighted to be there. Having only been there a few months, I have had a lot to learn, but I've learned that I, too, have a very stable, experienced staff. That's and one of our goals this year is for our teachers to receive PL in the Portrait of a Graduate tenets. And so each month we are picking tenets, and teachers are doing different activities with those tenets to make sure that we are connecting instruction through and building the best students we can possibly build through that. I do want to mention that this year Rising Star received its 5th designation as a lighthouse school, and I didn't know how significant that was until I went to a conference, and there are only 6 schools in the United States that have been designated 5 consecutive times. So I think that's a really great honor. But some of the things that we are working on at Rising Star is to increase and expand the community of creativity opportunities for students. I believe it's an equity issue because we think it's good for all students, not just the students who apply for the CFC. When the CFC started, it was all about connecting to the creative industries, but we see that students need to be challenged to create to solve a real-world problem. And so my hope is to expand that next year so that every sixth grader will have the opportunity to do that. One group that I have already working is a seventh grade group who wanted to partner with the Midwest Food Bank, and they are called Food Fighters. And so we see other opportunities for our students to engage with the community. They may not be headed for Pinewood Studios, but they certainly can be problem solvers and work with other aspects of our community. We want to continue to expand on our passion-based learning. We do this through our PAWS program, and PAWS, even though we are the Panthers, PAWS really stands for Play, Achieve, Work, and Succeed. And so for those of you who don't know what that is, once a week our students spend a period playing at something that they have chosen to do, and our teachers are the facilitators there. We think that play is a big portion, a big part of becoming a creative problem solver, and so we want to continue that. We also are a PBIS school, and we are incorporating lessons with our PBIS Rising Star 3 R's: be ready, be responsible, and be respectful. Our goal is to align our CTE pathways with the high school, and actually in our feeder pattern, and so we are beginning talks about that. We also want to make sure that we continue our collaboration with our other feeder schools. One of my assistant principals goes out to the elementary schools to introduce himself to the fifth graders now so that they will be comfortable when they come to Rising Star. And so we want to continue opportunities like that to improve and increase our collaboration. Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Alan Leonard.
Sorry. I'm Alan Leonard. I'm the principal at Starrs Mill, and to really bring us back to the finish here, everything that we at Starrs Mill, and I feel like we're a very successful high school, everything that we do really does stand on the shoulders of what is accomplished at the elementary school and the middle schools that feed into our school. Starrs Mill High School, and you can see the data that we have on that data sheet. We're very blessed and proud of the successes that we have, whether they're academic, as illustrated by CCRPI assessment, performances, graduation rate, etc. Extracurricular, we 4 of the last 5 years have won the GHSA Directors Cup for athletics. Our band has won actually 2 different grand championships this year. We are competitive every year in choral programs, in drama programs, and tons of other academic and club successes as well. The big thing that we really do want to celebrate at Starrs Mill is somewhat illustrated on that data sheet. That's the success that our kids have when they leave Starrs Mill. You can see on the data sheet there the percentage of our high school graduates who go on to college and need remediation is incredibly low. When you look at CCRPI measures of readiness to be able to not just be successful at Starrs Mill, but be successful outside of Starrs Mill, and whatever the next thing is, our readiness measures are all very high and continuing to increase, whether that be through pathway completion, through advanced academic coursework, again, that lack of need of remediation. We are very fortunate that we have a stable community, we have a very stable faculty, we have a stable student body, and a positive school climate. That doesn't mean that we don't have areas to grow in, though. As already illustrated, one of the biggest areas that we have as a feeder pattern to really grow is to work together to try to have that vertical alignment of our CTE areas, and also the opportunity that's presented to us by the Community for Creativity is a challenge at the high school level, because a lot of the flexibility they have at the middle school level to be able to put in some of these programs, we've got to, at the high school level, figure out how to take the lessons that those students have learned in middle school and then be able to apply that into a high school curriculum as well and high school opportunities. So we are working on that currently. Data-wise, our test scores in an aggregate level is consistently good. We are always, every year when we receive those scores, looking for those subgroup areas or areas that are areas of weakness that we can certainly to work on. And then again, a challenge that faces all of our schools, especially at the high school and middle school level, is the social emotional piece. And that is something that has become an increasingly difficult area for all of our schools, regardless of where they are in Fayette County or anywhere else, to be able to manage. Ultimately, though, for the Starrs Mill feeder pattern as a whole, we are very blessed to have a successful school, part of a successful school system, and have parents who are willing to bring their kids, support our schools, and work together with us to hopefully promote kids who are going to be successful, not just at Starrs Mill, but as they go on out into the future and into their future endeavors. So with that, I will open the floor up to your questions, which I haven't done this now 3 times. I know you'll have some, and I'll be happy to wave over to the other people that you're actually asking the questions of.
Board members?
I got a question that several of you mentioned school climate change, and you said PBIS is related to school climate change, and I'd like to talk about that a little bit. And also, you said that PBIS was incorporated into Leader in Me, and I'm not sure how to. I know a little bit about both of those, and I'm not sure how those mesh together.
I'm going to let the ladies who have Leader in Me in their school address that first.
That's a great question, and it's been, I got to do it last year at Sarah Hart Mentor because we were also Leader in Me, and we were a year ahead on PBIS, and so now I'm getting to replicate it this year at Braylon, and Buffy and I are doing it kind of together as our first years, but they do marry very well. We kind of talk about Leader in Me being the umbrella of how we want our students. It's kind of how we run the school. We want students to have leadership roles and be responsible for their own learning. Well, in order to do those things, they need to have appropriate behavior, and those words being respectful, responsible, and ready are the words that our staff has identified. Are yours the same? Yours are...
Mine are SOAR, so be safe, be orderly, be attentive, and be respectful. Close to the same. But the same thing is they have to take ownership of their behavior. So instead of just taking ownership of their learning, they're now also taking ownership of their behavior, is the way that we're meshing those two together.
And the PBIS is more the behavior, where then the Leader in Me is then how they can grow and blossom into the whole child and growing into productive middle and high schoolers. So what we have seen is just really using that language, and our teachers are really enjoying it. And it is very clear. Expectations are set across the board, but we use a lot of our leaders are being respectful, and this is how you do that in the hallway, and this is how you do that in the cafeteria. So it's just marrying the language, and it's been very successful. We've enjoyed it, actually.
Let me follow.
I didn't think I'd like it, but it's been great.
Let me follow up with the first question. So we thought it's going to help your school climate change. Is that a state requirement that we do PBIS, just the fact that we have that program? Does that help your climate score, or does the program change something that will affect your climate score?
I think both.
Well, having schools that have PBIS programs do get a 5-point bonus on that numerical climate score that's published by the state.
Okay.
But ultimately, it's really about how you enact that program and whether you enact that program with fidelity. Ultimately, for all of us, having that set standard expectation and defined expectations for our students, also for our faculty, has been a positive thing. There's none of the 5 of us were in a situation where discipline was a problem,
Right.
students were running amok, craziness was happening in the hallway or anything else like that.
Well, that was kind of the basis of my question.
Sure. But ultimately, one of the things that I've seen at the high school level is this gives us the opportunity to really address the positive things that a lot of our kids do and reward a lot of the positive things that our kids do that otherwise don't fit into a category that we get to celebrate. I've talked to you tonight about academic success, about athletic success, fine arts success. Nobody celebrates the behavioral success because that's just the expectation. But through this program, it gives us a framework to be able to celebrate some of those successes, and honestly, celebrate some of the kids who they're good, come to school kids who would otherwise never get their name called out over the announcements. And we can really, it gives us a reason to be able to pull that kid up and go, hey, you know what? I noticed you doing a good job with the thing that most people would never recognize you for.
And one other piece is that climate score. Students, staff, and parents all have to take a survey every year. And what we noticed is that the student one has been consistently the lowest. And I think by doing PBIS, the kids are learning, it's very explicit on what the expectations are, because some of the questions are, do you feel safe at school? Well, if you ask a 8-year-old how they feel about that pre-PBIS, they may not even know what you're asking, but now that's a conversation that we're having. So I do think it's going to help overall, like our kids know what is expected, and it's just kind of the language of how we're running things. So,
Thank you very much.
I think Dr. Martin, too, one other thing is that it makes us intentional about recognizing the positive things that the adults in the building are doing as well. So it's not just the children, and the children get the opportunity to recognize the positive behavior by the adults.
I know enough about y'all to know that you were already doing a lot of that stuff pre-PBIS. So I hope this will take you a little notch higher. Thank you.
Not a question, but a comment. And I heard it more than one time about the collaboration. And I know that you know this, that the vertical teaming and the vertical collaboration is extremely important for those RTI Tier 2, 3, those kids. And those will also help your test scores, and they'll also help everything else in the building.
Leonard? I just had a question about the pause, which I guess is kind of they get, is it like an hour a week to work on a project, or?
Well, it's every Wednesday is 7th period, and basically we have a special schedule. So that 7th period on every Wednesday, students actually sign up for segments and they go there. So they can learn how to. Last year, one of their sessions was learning how to do tricks with a yo-yo. Well, that's great. But we also had kids who were learning coding. We had kids who had an interest in Minecraft. We had kids who were interested in, flying an airplane. We had all kinds of passion-based learning going on. So,
I think that's a wonderful way to engage the students. And then also, and I know Mr. Leonard talked about the challenge of kind of incorporating creativity for community. I was wondering if that pause thing, like if that could go down to the 5th grade, would that be, because I've just read a lot of, yeah, go ahead.
We actually do something, I know you've done it before. We actually do something with Leader and Me at People's called Synergy Squads, which is the exact same thing. And so we just launched that. We don't do it as often because of our scheduling, but the students they vote on a passion, they select a passion-based activity, and then they rotate throughout the year with different groups of kids. So they're grouped 1st through 5th. I mean, it's really mass chaos done in like 5 minutes, which is amazing, and especially when you have 800 students. But they go with a teacher who then also, if it's coding or if it's science-based cooking where they're learning how to make ice cream, why is it freezing, or whatever it is that they're doing, same thing, but not to the extent that they're doing it once a week, but we're actually doing that through Leader and Me. And I know Aaron has done that, something similar at Mentor. I don't know if they're doing it, and Braylon's doing it too.
And I'm guessing the students
so it's
love
similar.
it.
Oh, yeah. We actually do it on the day before we do it. We make sure we do it on a day before a holiday so that they don't get checked out.
Yeah. Very, very savvy, very savvy. Yeah. I just know it. If thinking back on my school days, I would have loved the opportunity to have an hour every now and then just to work on something that I was really interested in. And I've seen some amazing things done with Minecraft, So that's wonderful. Any other comments or questions from the board? We certainly appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing, and you guys have a lot to celebrate. So,
Just if I could make one more note too, even the music in the video was created by and written by the students in the community for creativity. So we want to give credit to those students and also Mr. Christopher Harper, who did a lot of work on that video as well.
Right. That's awesome.
Great job, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Mr. Hollowell, if we're good to go, I will ease on into the superintendent's report. First on the agenda is I would want the board to know that we have been reviewing school safety protocols and procedures. I know Mr. Sanders and Dr. Lombard have been working on this for quite some time. We feel really good about our safety and security with regard to the pieces that we put into place. I think the board is aware of some of the initiatives that we've put into place. We don't talk about all of our safety protocols and procedures in public because, we don't want the bad guys to know exactly what we're doing. But this is one that I felt like we did need to share with the board. We've done a lot with the physical plant, but this is a little bit bigger, and I think you'll see the reason why we're interested in it when you have an opportunity for a presentation. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Sanders, and I know he's going to introduce Mr. Brent Coleman to you.
Good evening. As Dr. Barrett said, Dr. Lombard and I are constantly looking, trying to find those things out there that fit us as a school system, and ultimately make our schools a little bit more safe and secure. As Dr. Barrett also said, the Centegix product that you'll see tonight is one that we've been, well over a year now that we've been looked at various other companies. There are many companies out there that are capitalizing on the safety and security piece. And so we've tried to go through and vet these things and look into it. So this was one that we felt like we were ready to bring to you for you to preview, to see, and certainly not ready to take a vote tonight, but we wanted you to see the product and have Brent Coleman is with Centegix. I appreciate him coming out tonight. The great thing about Centegix is they're a Georgia-based company, and so it's easy to get them in here. And they also have a very strong proof of concept. A number of schools throughout the state, school systems throughout the state have implemented their product. I have personally been to another county, not a neighboring county, but a little bit 30, 45 minutes away to watch it in action, talk with the administrators, talk with teachers, and talk with the clerical staff up front. So with that being said, Brent Coleman, I'll have Brent come over and present, and then we'll entertain any questions after that. Brent, thank you.
Well, thank you. I will say, after watching the little girl in the Stars Mill video, I feel like a great underachiever. I think she had, 4 career goals? So that's awesome. It is a privilege to be here. I have the good opportunity of traveling all over Georgia, the South, and the country, meeting with school districts. It's not a cliche to say that this is a great school district, so congratulations on that. If I asked you all when you were in school, I look around and you're about my age, maybe a little older, and not to make light of that, we never had to think about this, active shooter drill or lockdown drills. I was at Chapel Hill High School on Friday, Douglas County, and they had about 8 school districts visiting. They're implementing Centegix, and they did a lockdown drill, and the high school kids were doing exactly that. And the world has changed. It's not just media hype. You can go to the website here, Center for Homeland Defense, and the number of shootings on school campuses, it's increased by 650% since 2011. I was here in this room a couple weeks ago. We were talking about this product. And just in that time, we've had a couple more situations. You may have seen the case in Oregon last week where it was a football player, former football player from the University of Oregon, was a teacher, student with a gun. He was able to take the gun and give that student a hug. So what do you do in your school district? You have to have a plan. You have to think about it. The good news is, statistically, you're not going to have a school shooting this year. Statistically, while you're board members, you're not going to have a school shooting. But you're going to have these things. And when you buy products, you want them to serve you in several different ways. And I would say, don't buy a product that's just going to help you with school shootings, as serious as they could be. But you're going to have kids hurt. You're going to have life-threatening emergencies. It could be a cardiac arrest. It could be a drug overdose. You're certainly going to have fights. You're going to have kids that threaten teachers. You're going to have non-custodial parents that end up in your school. And for your staff, what quicker way could it possibly be to have something that they're wearing to say, hey, I've got a situation and I need help. And whether it is, God forbid, a school shooting or one of those medical situations, it's about time. And so really the goal and the focus of Centegix and this system is to provide the absolute quickest way for an educator to send for help when they're faced with this situation when they're in a school building. So what's the philosophy of the system? Everyone would have one of these badges. Yes, everybody, not just teachers, assistant principals, the custodial staff, the lunchroom staff, everybody would have one because you don't know who's going to encounter a crisis situation. Number two, we're going to cover your entire campus. If you go to Sandy Creek, if you go to Whitewater, if you go to Stars Mill, they're big places. We're not just talking about inside the building. So our own network will protect anyone that can press this button anywhere on the campus, and it's going to work. So if they're at the football stadium or at the softball stadium or if they're in the parking lot, this is going to work. Number three, we're going to have mapping technology. So when the button is pressed, the right people are notified, whether that's 5, 6, 8, whatever the number is, you all decide, and they're going to be notified that we have an alert, we have a crisis situation, and in the mapping technology, it's going to pop up. There's going to be a flashing red light of where that person is. Next, we're going to match your protocols. You're a great school district. You spent time, effort, planning, resources, coming up with a plan. So we're not going to come in and change everything. You know, as I travel around, you may hear lock down, lock in, soft lockdown. I've got districts that use the word flee. So whatever your protocols are, we're going to put that into our system. I'm going to show us a little video. This is about a minute long. It gives a little bit of overview about what I'm talking about here.
The new security system, it says, will empower teachers and staff to call for help.
Future of emergency response has arrived, and it just takes the click of a button.
Security upgrade to keep students safer in school shootings and another crisis situation.
They would know exactly what building, what hallway, what classroom, and as well as the teacher or the staff member who did make that emergency call.
Teachers will press a button on the badge to send an alert that there's a problem. If it's a campus-wide alert, lights linked to the system will begin to flash across campus.
Responding to an emergency situation quicker than ever before is possible now through this badge.
A great deal of assurances to our parents, to our students, to our employees, and to me personally as a superintendent and our board.
It empowers the teachers to be in control of the safety of their room. They can summon a principal at the push of a button. We know where and we know who. That is powerful technology.
Now I want to talk a little bit more about the badge itself. When the designer first came up with the idea and started developing the technology, and by the way, he's had several meetings with Mr. Sanders and Dr. Lombard and others. His initial idea was to have 5, 6, 7 buttons on this badge for all the different types of emergencies. You know, if you have a fight, click this button, a weapon, etc. Emergency responders said no. It's a reason you just call 911. You want to notify the right people that you need help. So we keep it to 2. The first one's the staff alert. You initiate a staff alert by pressing this 3 times. There's a lot of technology in this badge, and we certainly don't want to have false alerts, and so you press it 3 times quickly. If you want to send a campus-wide alert, which typically would turn into a lockdown, you keep pressing it, and I'll talk more about that. Let's talk about staff alerts. I was at the Summer Gale Conference this year, and Muskogee County, the superintendent, they're one of about 40 districts in Georgia that are now implementing Centegix. But he was on a safety panel, and he talked about when he was in Florida, he had a teacher pass away. She passed away because she had a heart attack, and there was confusion about where she was, and it just took too long to get to her. And when they made the decision to move forward, he said, I called that family, and I told them, hey, I didn't forget about you. And had we had this technology when I was in Florida in that district, there's no doubt in my mind that she would be alive today. unless maybe serious issues. My wife's in Metro Atlanta. She's a third-grade teacher. Last year, she had 3 injuries in her classroom. In her class, all happened at recess. And she talks about how hard it is to get help and how long it takes for someone to get there. Where if you're wearing a badge and you have a kid injured at recess, one of them was a head injury, all I have to do is press this button 3 times. In that situation, the 5, 6, 8 people at her school that need to be notified would get a notification on their phone, and it would be kind of like an Amber Alert sound. It pops up, map of the school, flashing red light, and it would say Barbara Coleman, and they would know she needs help and know where she is. So you're pressing it 3 times for the staff alert. Now, in a more serious situation, let's say there is a weapon, God forbid. So a staff member sees this person, they keep clicking the badge, and they keep clicking it until they see these alert strobes going off. So we put them in classrooms, hallways, common areas, cafeteria. Outside, we put them on flagpoles, power poles, put them on the stadium. And so when you initiate the campus-wide lockdown, campus-wide alert, you're seeing that visual notification to everybody that's on the school campus. The next thing we do is take over the intercom system. And so whatever the protocol is for the district, it would tell people what to do over the intercom, and it would sound something like this, and you all would determine exactly what it said.
This is a lockdown alert. Immediately lock your doors. Turn off the lights. Stay out of sight.
The next thing that would automatically happen is we take over the computers on your network, and that message also would pop up, telling everybody exactly what to do during a lockdown campus alert message. Then the same notification goes to the mobile app. This time, if you're talking about a campus-wide, we're going to want to notify district personnel. So if Dr. Barrow may be in Savannah for a conference, but if Whitewater High School has a campus-wide alert, he needs to know. And that's going to pop up on his phone. He's going to have a flashing red light of where it is and who that person is at Whitewater High School. And then finally, you have the option of notifying local police. And you can make them part of this plan. And they can get that same notification. They can get it on their phone, they can get it on their desktop, etc. This should happen in about 5 seconds. And so again, I can't think of a quicker way to notify people that, hey, we have an emergency, we need help. Also, and this is critically important to the system, is you can send out alerts as district leaders. So let's say there could be a bomb threat at a particular school. You could go in and automatically send out that alert. This could flash different colors. A tornado drill pops up. A tornado warning is a better example. And it's tracking to the county. The district could put all schools in a tornado warning. These could flash blue with whatever recommendations, whatever directions for everybody to do during a tornado warning. So it's not just using the badge to send out an alert. You have the control as district leaders to send out alerts from the app and from the desktop. Parkland, when I was here a couple weeks ago, we went into a lot of detail about what happened in Parkland, the tragedy in Florida last year. 17 were shot. Unfortunately, 17 were killed. And what happened there that is really the most shocking to me is 1 minute and 40 seconds before the first shot was fired, a campus monitor saw the gunman get off an Uber and he had a rifle bag. And I think it's safe to say if you had this technology and he was empowered to do something, he could have locked that school down 1 minute and 40 seconds before the first shot was fired. Now I want to show a video from the chief of police in Hillsborough County, that's Tampa, Florida. He was on that panel, and he talks about the force multiplier effect. I'm going to play this video for you.
We partnered with Syntegic. About 10 or 11 months ago, I spoke to Superintendent Akins and Superintendent Farkas, and our next iteration of what we want to do for security was to be able to give each and every one of our employees the ability to call for help anytime, anywhere when they're on one of our campuses. For a 30-some-odd-year law enforcement professional, we call that a force multiplier. The fact that we're putting that technology in the hands of over 25,000 employees gives me 25,000 sets of eyes on our campus and helps to keep the campus safe.
And I think it's very powerful to think about that force multiplier effect. I'm going to leave you with this. I tried to go as fast as possible, but Jefferson City, I don't know if you happen to know Dr. Jackson, the superintendent, or you may know Ronnie Hopkins. If you've been on a school board members yourself, Ronnie has been a board member for 40 years or so, but you can read his quote. But the reason he said it's a no-brainer is because it's all about time. Every second matters. So God forbid if you have a school shooting, but what about when kids are injured? What about drug overdoses? What about cardiac arrest? All those situations, it really is about time. So again, privileged to be here. Greatly appreciate your time. I'll send it back over to you, Mike.
Before I turn it over to them to ask questions, just a couple of things. One piece that Dr. Lombard has talked to me about for a while now is the fact, especially at our high schools, that we have so many kids that are on and off campus, dual enrolled. And we've had a couple of situations where we've had lockdown drills, and the kids get back on campus and don't realize there's a lockdown drill going on. What to do with those kids. That's one piece with the strobe, that we would be able to train them that if you come on campus and you see this strobe going off, you need to turn around and leave, go somewhere else. And so I think that was a very big piece for us as we look through it. So with that being said, I'll be glad to answer any questions, or if Brent needs to answer any questions.
Board members?
Good presentation. Thank you.
Does a location tracking only turn on when you do the alert?
That is correct. But it will work from different campuses. So if you have district leadership that's going from elementary to middle to high, wherever I am is going to know where I'm located.
Okay.
It works via Bluetooth, so when I press this, it's finding the closest strobe, and this strobe is sending out the location. It's saying, I'm at Sandy Creek High School, we want to see. That's how it works.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not in the tracking of people
Well,
business.
It's something that people have asked.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely. But that was, as I would have one as I went from campus to campus to campus. And another big piece, and I'll stop at this, is trying to make sure that everybody knows they have the power to lock down. And that's what that gives them, is that ability to get in an emergency if they see it, lock it down.
Yes, Roy? Okay. The question I had, you said about the system will take over the intercom system. Does the principal have the ability to override that?
They do.
And same with the teachers' computers, if they wanted to need to send an email or something?
Yeah, and typically what would happen on the computer, you just hit the escape button and you recontrol. So taking over is probably the wrong term. It's just an automatic pop-up message.
Yeah.
And as far as intercom, after that message plays a couple times, and certainly you're going to have the freedom to say whatever needs to be said next.
Okay.
And you can do real.
I can say one thing. I know Mr. Sanders engaged Mr. Farmer and the tech staff in this, and this is no additional load on our network. Is it? Am I?
It's very minimal. Most of this is through the Bluetooth, and it's all proprietary network, so it's not on our Wi-Fi. It does connect to our network eventually, but it's very minimal.
So it's not outside coming in? Okay.
Well, thanks, Dr. Brown. That was one of my questions. Another question, do you need one of those for every classroom, or is it just?
You do.
Okay.
So we put in every classroom. We'll put them in the hallways. You go down, you may see 3 per hallway. So again, it's giving off the location, so it's very important to, in a sense, saturate the campus with these. Not only giving out the location, but having the visual alert. So wherever you are, you're going to know, hey, there's an emergency taking place.
Does that device include a camera?
It does not include a camera, no.
What are we talking about? How many millions of dollars?
Well, I knew you were going to ask that, so I have that. All right, to do 26 sites, all right, and that's if and the reason the alternative school is a program. I tell you, the bottom line is $740,000. That includes 26 sites. $720,000 of that will be paid for from the school safety grant that the governor gave us back last summer, okay? And so the other $20,000 would be for the alternative school, because it is not a school, it's a program, so it does not earn the $30,000. So that would be local, and then $10,000. The other $10,000 would be the administrative building here that would need to be funded locally. That my thought we would pay for that out of our safety and security East Plus money that we have designated for safety. So $740,000, $20,000 of that would be our responsibility. The other $720,000 would be paid for the safety grant.
You said alternative school and central office. What about open campus? Did you include that in alternative school?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that entire campus.
Okay.
Yes, sir. In mainstay as well. And then COI would be, they priced it as part of Fayetteville Elementary, so we didn't have to pay for a separate school there. We were able to tie in the Stars Mill, Rising Star together, which makes sense. If they're going to lock down, if an emergency is going on in one building, they need to lock down the other. So we tried to work it financially, fiscally financial as possible.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, I got another question, because just my experience with my wife. When we budget money for something, sometimes that money gets spent several times. But it seems to me, and I might be misremembering, that we've already spent some of our safety grant. So is our school safety grant covering that
Yes,
the
sir.
whole expense you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. The 720.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Just as a heads up to our board, moving on to 8B, we've been having conversations with Mr. Gray and Ms. Wilder with our school nutrition program. You may not be aware of this, but we will be having an audit later on this year, and one of the things that we have to do as a school district is cover our per plate cost. We are looking at that. This does not impact our students at all, but it does impact our adults. And we're looking at giving you a full presentation at our work session in November, but I wanted to give you a heads up about that. That's something that may be coming. I also wanted to put parents at ease, is that we're not trying to change the cost for lunch and breakfast during the course of the year. That would, if we did anything, that would be at the beginning of the school year. So we'll talk more about that at the work session, but I did want to give you a heads up about that. The last item on the superintendent's report deals with the FY21 capital outlay application. This is the state dollars that we would be using for modification and or renovations at Booth. I know the board has not made a final determination about this, but we have to submit this by November 1st in order to be eligible for the grant, whether you look at a renovation of Booth or whether we're looking at, the replacement school scenario. We just don't know yet exactly where we're going, but we do know that if we want to get those capital outlay dollars, we have to apply for it, and that has to be approved by the board for us to do that. So I wanted to have that conversation with you, explain that, and then, of course, in the action item, we'll want you to take a vote on that. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any for us. If not, I'll go to item 9 with personnel, and I think you've had a chance to review that. We'd like to take a look at the retirements, resignations, reclassifications. We also have some community coach recommendations as part of the personnel report. We would recommend the board approve as presented.
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
All in favor? 5-0.
Financial report, Mr. Gray.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Barra, board members. Our normal report, cash on hand is $32.8 million. $11.8 million of that is in the operating fund. On the analysis of the operating account of cash of $11.8 million, $500,000 is in the general fund, $10 million in capital projects, and then you see the rest of the balances there. Now, this is our lowest cash point in the year, by the way. It's the end of September. So in October, we started getting a little bit more property tax revenue, and then November is when we really accelerate that. So. Then we have the budget report by function level. You can see, of course, like I said, this point, you can see we've brought in $31 million so far this year. And is the other report. I hadn't skipped to that one. I'm sorry. Yeah. So a year-to-date, $31.5 million in revenues and expenditures of 56.9, but we are on track budgetarily at about 25%. Okay. So the projection for fund balance, we're expecting right now to spend be just under budget for expenditures, about $400,000. And in the middle, in your revenues, expected to be a little bit under budget of about $1.2 million. And that had to do mostly with the property tax change that we had discussed at the time of the millage rate. Then on the where that would leave us there at the bottom, we're projecting our fund balance to be at the end of the year about $23.6 million, and after the budgetary reserve, about $600,000 in additional fund balance. So that's a little bit closer to break even for the year. Okay, then we have the SPLOST reports. SPLOST 1, we're still spending out on some projects like flexible learning spaces, but we're doing everything we can to move those projects along so we can close out SPLOST 1 completely. Have about $1 million left there that's already been allocated. Then on SPLOST 2, of course, there's no more collections, but we have quite a few projects going on there. For example, Oak Grove Elementary School, the school nutrition equipment, connected classrooms, security upgrades, and textbook purchases are still going through there, and there's about $4.6 million left there to allocate. And then SPLOST 3 is the last report. Again, in the top right-hand corner, you see that we've expended all the bond revenue. So that's been paid out for all the construction projects. And towards the bottom, you see we have about $110 million that we can allocate towards additional projects at this point, based on the estimate of $145 million in total. And so the projects and kind of the main projects going on there is McIntosh High School additions. We're finishing up the payout on that. Fayette County High School renovations, same thing. The band towers, track resurfacing, and textbook adoption that we just had. And then I did include one more graph there just to kind of give you a picture of what SPLOST revenue is doing at this point, projecting about a 3.8% increase for the fiscal year 2020. So still having a strong increase in SPLOST revenue at this point. So any questions?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Item 11 is our consent agenda, and in that we have the change in the policy JGCB has the Narcan position descriptions and minutes. We would recommend the board approve the consent agenda.
Need a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I had a question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
If I could. We might have talked about these positions before, I just don't remember. But can you tell me about the lead administrator at the COI? Is that like a principal level position?
Yes, sir. That's where Tim Carter is. We did talk about that.
Okay. And that's the, okay. And the Dean of Students is?
Dr. Wimbish at the Alternative and Open Campus.
All right. And so we need I can talk about it later. I just got some questions about that.
Okay. So we got a motion and a second. All in favor? 5-0.
Here we have the one action item for the board to consider, and that's giving us permission to apply for the capital outlay application for FY 2021. We'd recommend the board approve.
Need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 5-0.
Okay, just a couple of information items. I won't go into those. The one thing that I do want to make sure the community is aware of is the vaping forum seminar that we're hosting at Whitewater High School. I know that's become much more common in the day-to-day conversations, and we've got several people who are going to be there to present and educate our community. I know we actually have received a letter from the Public Health Department from the state, and I feel real good that we'd already decided we're being very proactive in moving forward with that, and we also have the Whitewater High School Media Center open house. Certainly want any of you board members and or community members that would like to participate in that. We'd love to invite you to that. That's all of the information items that I was going to mention this evening, but Mr. Hollowell, we do need an executive session to discuss negotiations to purchase, dispose of, or lease property.
All right, need a motion to go to executive session to discuss the property.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? 5-0. Need a motion and second to return from executive